This video is brought to you by Sporlan, quality, integrity, and tradition.
All right, we got a call that the ice machines aren't working. Last night they said their bin was empty. So when you come in the morning, they said that their bin was empty, but when you see both sides are filled up to the same level and they're both running, it's almost like something was shut off because they both produced an equal amount of ice since last night. You can tell kind of by the ice piles. So that's interesting. Machines are a little dirty, but nothing too crazy. But one thing I will say that is very suspect is this right here. These filters are notorious for not having enough flow. And to have a single filter on a 13, actually I think this is a 1600 or a 1300. This is a 1600 pound machine. There's no way that filter has enough flow for one 1600 pound machine. I don't know why these were installed, because we used to have HVACR cartridge filters right here, and they had Ecolab put these in or something, and they're notorious for not having enough flow. I've looked it up before. I'll have to look and see if I can find any information about it again. I think there's flow information on the top, and I'll prove it, but that's not good. Whether or not that's part of our problem, I don't know, but the water indicator says that there's like no flow through that filter. I don't know if the gauge is bad. The little black needle is in the red. Might just be a bad gauge though, who knows. But yeah, these are notorious for being a problem. Now when these things are a problem, they shut off the flow to the machine, but they can also cause freeze-ups, because if there's not enough water coming into the machine during the harvest cycle, and look at that one. That one's in the black. I mean, up in the red, the black indicator thing. But when there's not enough flow coming to these machines in harvest, they'll freeze up. But they don't look frozen up right now. So we'll see. Both machines are running. They're not off on safeties. I'm not going to spend too much time here because this is a Sunday. We're probably going to end up coming back because I'm not going to waste my Sunday staring at an ice machine making ice all day. Check this out. So this one stopped filling, and the black dial went up to the normal pressure level. So it's got water pressure, it just doesn't have enough water flow, and it's going down into the red when it fills. But if we come over here earlier, now this one's filling. It just went into a dump cycle, and look, it's in the red. So that's a problem. Yeah, I shouldn't be doing that. We should have full flow through this filter when we're filling with water like we are right now. So this eventually will cause a freeze up, even though it doesn't look like it's causing it right now. So according to their sheet, 2256 9320, it says, but I don't understand why they have two GPMs listed here. They have a GPM here for the filter, 2256 of 5 gallons per minute, and then they have another GPM down here, one for chlorine reduction, one for chloramine reduction, and then it says 1.7 GPM. So how do you add that up? I don't know. I'm confused by how they rate their filters in GPM. That's odd, but the HVACR 1601 actually requires 2.91 GPM. So the filter might be okay, but it's plugged up and it's restricted. So yeah, maybe they just need to get the filter changed. I don't know why they went with that Ecolab filter though, but I could be wrong about the flow rate. I don't know. Someone else explain it to me. We have a single cartridge, the single head 9320-2266, and then we have a 9320-2256. What's the total GPM that goes through that? Regardless, we know they're plugged up because they're way down in the low level, so we need to get them changed. But is that a big enough flow rate on that single cartridge with a single filter for a 1601 that requires 2.91 GPM? I'm intrigued. We're not in a fill cycle, so I shut off the water, pulled the O-ring from the top of the cartridge, and we're gonna see if that bypasses this filter successfully. Usually it does, but it may not have the right flow. We'll have to see, but I think that'll bypass it. So we're gonna try it out. No, it doesn't look like it. Now it's leaking everywhere. So I guess that O-ring has to be there. That's odd. Filter's in there. Oh, yeah, so we can't bypass it, I don't think. Yeah, that's a negative. When you bypass it, it leaks out of that right there, and if you look up into there, yeah, it won't. So You can't bypass this guy. It used to be that, no, see, not on these. These little tabs are so you can pull out this whole assembly. Yeah, I don't think there's a way to bypass these things. Well, I guess they gotta call Ecolab because I ain't getting these. Wanted to get my eyeballs on the ice machine condensers up here. Looks like we got a bad fan motor. This one's locked up. We'll open it up and check it, but I don't have any fan motors, so I'm not even gonna bother with that right now. We could come back with a fan motor, then we'll confirm. This one over here is working fine. Let's look at the shape of the condensers. How dirty are they? They could be kind of dirty too. I mean, I feel pretty good airflow going through them, but they could probably use a cleaning. Okay, well, that's not too bad. So bottom line, these machines were working when I got here, and if it didn't come across, the point that I was making is they're working and they both had the same mound level on each side, so it seems like they're both making the same amount of ice. I just don't think they can keep up with the customer's demand. That is more than likely because the water filters are plugged up and or too restrictive, but I don't know for sure because I can't really understand Ecolab's tech document, like on how much flow, because there's 2 flows listed. So unless I don't understand how to read that chart, I would go with the lowest flow, which is 1.7. So I don't know. I don't understand how to read it, but I think those filters are too restrictive. On top of that, they're probably plugged up. So I'm gonna communicate with the customer's corporate office and ask them, like, hey, why did someone take out my perfectly good Hoshizaki water filter system and install this aftermarket whatever brand? Now, I'm not saying that you can't have different filters on an ice machine. You certainly can, as long as the flow rate is correct. In my experience with past customers, those Ecolab filters are problematic. Now, I'm not saying 100% that's the case, okay? But at a minimum, you would need a double head, I would think, for a 1,600 pound machine. But again, maybe I don't understand that documentation, okay? So I could be completely wrong about that. But bottom line, I would rather it be my Hoshizaki filters because then I can pick them up and replace them. Yeah, and I know I can go online to Ecolab, but they have accounts with Ecolab here, so they service their dishwasher. That's probably why the filters were installed. But it just makes it a problem because guess what? The ice machines aren't working. The filters at a minimum are plugged up, and there's nothing I can do short of going in there and cutting the water lines and straight piping the water lines, which I'm not gonna do on a Sunday. The machines are working. They can order ice. I'll tell them that they need to either get Ecolab out or let me put in the right water filters. But they just probably had a super busy day and, you know, couldn't keep up, basically. That's my logic. So this is the one with the bad condenser fan motor, and I just came over here and I was looking for a model number, and every once in a while this one's chirping. Probably not going to come through on the phone, but I can hear it chirp every once in a while. So we're going to actually do 2 condenser fan motors. We're going to replace the one that's locked up, and we'll probably replace the one that left. I mean, in reality, they're all the same age. The bearings are all going to start going out, but this customer, given the choice, is only going to replace the ones that are bad. So, and I'll tell them that the bearing one, like, we need to do that because it's going to go bad basically when I get done. But as far as preventatively changing the other 2, they're not going to want to do that right now. It actually wasn't too hard to bypass this one. If you pull these little tabs out with the water pressure off, these pieces pull right out. I will give them that. That's pretty nice. So put those back in like that, and then I just ran the braided line. Now I'm gonna have to go get another braided line for this because this nonsense. I'll get a different braided line. That one's gonna be a little bit harder though because there's not a lot of room there. That'll be interesting. Okay, well, let's see what I can do. All right, this will get us by for the rest of the weekend. Today's Sunday, it's Sunday morning. So we bypass both filters temporarily. Right there, just going over, and then we'll see if they want to replace the cartridges or put in the proper filter systems. We got to ask them about that. All right, we are back. Got approval. 2 new Hoshizaki triple cartridges, one for each machine, and some condenser fan motors for on the roof. So we're gonna get going on this. My original holes are still there, but the anchor, I don't have the right screws for the anchor, so I'm gonna go get the right screws for these. But we're gonna be able to probably work with what is here because they left enough of the original thing. So it's not ideal, but I don't necessarily need to redo all that copper if it's still functional. Same on this one too. So I may or may not cut it right here just to make my life easy, and then twist this on, thread tape it, twist it on, and then pro press it right here is what I'll probably do. This is soft copper, but 1/2 inch pro press should be fine for that, I think. We'll have to see. I mean, I guess I can grab a zoom lock fitting if I have to, but it should fit. Yeah, and then we're gonna come out with braided lines. We're gonna get all new braided lines. Well, because we already have some that I bought to bypass it, but we'll replace the other ones. Braided lines to the machine from the filter assembly. Make it easy for ourselves. We will probably have to take this. Oh, this isn't a plug. Dang it. I thought this was a plug. I want to plug this and put the filter assembly, or the braided hose on this is what I want to do. So I'm going to see if I can get a plug for this maybe. And then we plug this and then put braided coming out of this going into the machine. Okay, so we're working with the existing water line, and what I did was I was able to undo that. So it's not the prettiest thing, but we don't got to sell them a bunch of extra copper. Cut it right there, put a pro press bitting. We're going to press that on. Then this is done, and then I'm hoping I can get my water line put onto this right here. That's the plan, at least. Okay, we are installed. We're gonna turn this guy on. Nice and slow. I was worried, I heard a noise. I thought it was this. No, it's actually this. Go figure. What's my luck that that's leaking? Because my freaking press fitting's there. That's how it works for me. But this is life. We'll get it fixed. Let's go ahead and test the rest of the system really quick so that we know that's our only problem. So what we're gonna do is open this up. We're gonna open this up, hold that water line so it doesn't go dangly. Just point it down. Oh, God. Oh, this isn't tight. Man, we're really batting 1,000. We didn't tighten this on, that's all. All right, we solved this one right here. This is good. No more leaks here, no more leaks here, no more leaks here. That's all good. Now we just need to fix this right here. So we're gonna fix that real quick, and then we'll move. Okay, we were able to fix this just by rotating it around in place. So problem solved, problem solved. We're good on that. So now we're gonna move on to the next filter system. Ended up pulling this off, put some nylog white on there, nice and good. We threaded this up really good, got it back right side up. So hopefully that fixes our problem here. So we've got these all in now, we fixed everything. We've got to purge the filter, so you've got a purge valve. We've got this going into the drain. We're supposed to purge like 5 gallons of filter. Always hold this too, because I've had these come off right here. So we're just purging through, it's going down into the drain. We're gonna let it flow, and then we'll move on to the next filter assembly. Okay, so we're getting the threads cleaned off of this real good. Get all the Teflon off. Then we're gonna put some Teflon and some nylog white on there. And then we'll thread it on the filter system, and then we'll press this just like the other one. So again, a little bit of the nylog white. So we put pipe dope, nylog white, and then we're gonna thread this on because this leaked on the other one. So we're gonna get this put on, and then we're gonna do that one because we put some pipe dope on that one too, or nylog white. We're very carefully, slowly. Oh, see, look, there's a little leak right there. What happened here? Something happened, but that's why you do it slowly. You let this fill up slow. So that's in the freaking filter. What the heck? It's just always something with these. That one's good. We got that one all taken care of. But all right, almost there. It's just tricky filters. We just had to pull them out, reset them. They weren't set in there right. Okay, so now, again, it's not the prettiest thing, but we reused what was already here, you know? So we're pressurized all the way to here, all the way to the machine. Now what we need to do is purge these filters. So I've got it sitting down in the drain down there. I got to hold it with 2 hands, and then we'll open this valve slowly and purge it. And just, again, 5 gallons of filter is what I like to do. Just let it go for a bit. All right, these are all done. Again, we use their, existing setup, so we didn't have to waste a bunch of fittings and stuff, but it's all good. Installed braided hose going in to make it easy. That hose is plenty big enough. Filters are dated. We left the old ones because I don't know if they leased those from Ecolab or not, and told the manager about it already. So now we gotta head up to the roof because we got some bad condenser fan motors up there. Okie dokie, so this is the one, it's not working. These motors both run in tandem. They don't shut off like this. And it's red hot. And even if it does, it's got bad bearings. Yeah, so definitely bad. There's no need to even check voltage. And then one of these over here has bearings going bad. It's interesting because the last time I was here, one of these was squeaking, and they're not right now. So we're gonna watch this one and these three. And it may not look like they're spinning, but they are. It's the camera can't catch it. We're gonna see if any of these stops faster than the other ones. I've got someone turning it off downstairs right now. We're just listening. I think I heard a squeak from this one. We'll see though. There we go, we're shutting them down. See if one shuts down faster than the others. Usually you can see when it stops. You can tell if it's a bearing issue. No, doesn't look like any of them stopping faster than the other one. That's interesting. Interesting. All right, I'm gonna review my camera footage. I know you guys, I don't have the footage with me right now because I already took it off my phone, but I mentioned one of these was squeaking, but it like squeaked, but I don't think I caught it on camera. I just said one of them was squeaking, but things you can do is free spin them and see how they stop. If it's bearings, they'll usually like abruptly, like instead of coasting like it is, it just goes, it stops. And these things are doing really good. So at this point, I'm not gonna change one of these. I thought I heard a squeak from this one, but for some reason I thought it was the other one. This one's doing all right too though. Look at that. Okay, well we're definitely changing this one because this one is locked up. Like bearings are shot on it. Yeah, we're gonna take a little penetrating oil. I know some people say it doesn't do anything, but placebo effect, I like it. We're gonna put that on there, let it sit for a minute, and we're gonna work on getting the motor out while that's sitting, and then we'll get this broken free. Hoshizaki being Hoshizaki. It's been a while since I've had one of these fan motors go bad. Well, one thing about Hoshizakis is almost everything's metric. The next thing, what the heck, man? It's a quarter drive. I have a tool for that, but like, I gotta go down to the van to get it. The silly thing is, why can't it just be normal? Like an Allen wrench or something, like, or make it longer. Like, that's just silly. So I do have a tool for it. I'll go down to the van. We just need a quarter adapter or something. So forgive me, I don't remember who did it, but thank you to the gentleman that sent me this little kit. We were able to get that thing off now. So take it out completely. Send me all kinds of drives. Male drives, female drives, 1/4 inch to 3/8. So we're gonna take that out. And then what we're gonna do, we've been putting penetrating oil in there the whole time. And then now the fan motor might just pop right off. We also need to pay attention to how far down it's going into there. Here, pull the bit off, keep the extension on it. Now, unthread it with your hand. It'll come right out. Oh, you got the wrong side. There you go. There you go. All right, don't lose that because we need that set screw. All right, and then, okay, so yeah, oh, yep, it's coming right off. There we go. So the penetrating oil, I think, helped us a bit. So now we're gonna get this set on the new motor, get it installed and wired in. So we got our depth set. We got the fitting on the flat part. You gotta make sure it's on the flat part of the shaft. Yeah, you're gonna have to get resourceful here. It's tricky. And then just make sure it's not cross-threaded. It's gotta go in nice and easy. Is that even threading? Okay, there you go. All right, so now what you're gonna do is you're gonna put the other end of the ratchet on there, okay? And you're gonna torque it down. You're gonna go tight, loose, tight, loose. Push the button when you're pushing it on. There you go, all right. Now put it on there and go tight. Nope, that's, get it nice and snug. Tight, a little bit more. Now loose. Now go tight, and you'll notice it'll go tighter. Each time you do that, make sure you're not hitting the blade. Each time you do that, so I'm gonna let you hold it, that way you can get a good grip on everything. And you're gonna go tight, loose, not messing up the shaft, or the blade. So think about how difficult it is, so then put it right there, and then you got all kinds of room now. Now you're loosening, that's your problem. There you go. Okay, so, okay, what happened here, look, your blade moved. So that's the tricky thing about these motors. See, because I had it set right, but as you were tightening and loosening it, it was moving. So not only do you have to get it tight, loose, not damage the blade, you got to keep it at the right depth too. So it's kind of tricky, you know, trying to navigate all this stuff. Okay, let's see, go tighter, right there. All right, now go loose, just a crack. A little bit more. Okay, now go tighter. And by going tight, loose, what you're doing is you're scoring the shaft. You're running it in, so you're creating a groove in the shaft, because when we tighten it right now, there's pressure pushing back on that screw. And so by going back, forth, you're like relieving the pressure that the shaft is gonna be pushing on that screw, because you're setting the screw into the shaft. You're grooving it, is what you're doing. So just go a little bit tighter, and we're probably pretty good right there. Get the motor installed, make sure it free spins nice and good, not hitting anything. And then now what we need to do is we need to get in here. We got to change the capacitor. We need to identify the capacitor, figure out which one's which. So we've got the old wiring, we'll pull that, we'll trace it back, find the capacitor. It's probably this one. We'll get that swapped out. We got a new one right here. And then we'll, you know, move on from there. Simply cut the zip tie, trace the wires back, found which capacitor it is. There's that new one, okay? You can get it put on there. Stainless steel screws, so they're not gonna be magnetic. So you're probably gonna wanna use something like this. It's not gonna be magnetic, but it'll get you there. And another trick is put the screw in here, okay? Put the screwdriver on it, and then use that to hold the screw in place, because it's stainless, and then that way you can get them started. There you go. So that's my insulated screwdriver, so we don't want to beat on that, but it's perfectly good to use as a screwdriver. Going down nice and tight. All right, you're good. All right, so that's in. Now we're just gonna hook it all back up. Within reason, I like to make things easier. So there was a bunch of extra wires, wire nuts. There's even more right here. There was a bunch of wire nut connectors, splice connectors, bunch of nonsense going on. I was able to fix it all up and consolidate it all with a triple Wago and a number 5 Wago. Now, people say that I don't need to do this. I like to tape my Wagos, and here's why, especially when you're using solid wire. Because when you're using solid wire, every once in a while, when you're moving things around, the Wagos, I've seen them open up. Okay, I know some people say that there's, you know, oh, well, if it only opens that much, it's not a big deal. I've seen them open more than that. So that's why it's just force of habit. You don't have to do it, but I like to put a little tape just around there to keep them shut. And again, it just makes me feel comfortable. Again, I know some people don't. They say you don't need to do it. To each their own. All right, they're both running now. That's good. That's the one we just changed it on. But when we started it back up, I can hear the bearing noise now. That's what I heard. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not. That one's not making noise, that one is. So it's funny, we already took the motor down to the van and put it away, but we're gonna bring it back up and we're gonna change this one too. This one was really quick. I let my apprentice change this one out for the most part, and all is well. So we got this motor in, we cleaned up the wiring just like on the last one, used Wagos, all is well. Yeah, this is gonna be awesome. We're gonna have both these machines up and running like they should be. Water filters are back in action, working, so customer's gonna be happy. What I think I'm gonna do though too, is I think I'm gonna just get some foam tape, because all this insulation is jacked. So we just rip off that crap and then we just foam tape it real quick. It's not gonna be perfect, but it's better than what's there. So that's what we're gonna do. This is not ideal, but it's better than what they had. So we individually wrapped it, and then I'm going along and I'm gonna try, hopefully I have enough to double wrap it on the outside on both. So yeah, this isn't ideal because this insulation isn't as good as normal stuff. But again, it'd be a pain in the butt to get the right stuff for that and to make all those weird bends without cutting the pipe and sliding it on, because It's not like perfect 90s and stuff, so it'll be tricky, but this is better than nothing. All right, now this is not ideal. In a perfect world, we use UV related stuff, like, you know, better insulation. But again, I don't have it with me. We don't need to make a huge production out of this. We just used a few tapes of foam, or a few rolls of foam tape, taped it up. Yes, it's only gonna last a year, maybe 2 at the most, okay? But it's better than what was there, right? Doesn't cost that much money. You know, I would love to use UV rated insulation and all that stuff. We can talk to the customer, but they're not gonna do that. Most customers don't understand the value of insulation, and it's hard to convince them otherwise. Clearly, the people that installed these condensers did not think, I didn't install them, but I mean, look at the conduit. You're not supposed to come up through the roof with seal-tight conduit. Like, there's so many things that could have been done differently, but this is a budget install from, they bought the machines from Hoshizaki, and Hoshizaki's people installed it, and this is what they get. Like, just pure junk, okay? But it is what it is. It does work, it just looks like crap. But, you know, sometimes customers don't care because it's out of sight, out of mind, you know? So, I mean, I guess there's an argument to be made there too. My OCD doesn't necessarily always make their equipment work better. It just satisfies my need for things to be straight and look good. But there is logic to having things straight and looking good too, because it's more functional. Ideally, these should have never been drilled so far apart. The penetration should be right below that, should be coming up into it. You know, like, there's a lot of things that could have been done. I appreciate the fact that they didn't stack these, because this is a wind sail. They didn't even support them properly. So if they put 2 condensers on top of each other, that would surely blow over. But, you know, it is what it is. This is what they got. We made it better. Water filters are good. Condenser fan motors are good. Let's hope they got a little bit more life out of this. We're gonna wrap this one up, tell the customer to keep an eye on it. We got a mess of stuff right there we're gonna throw away, and hopefully we'll catch you on the next one.
You know, it's funny because I was in the beginning of the video when it started, I was like, I'm here, you know, I'm not going to bypass these filters, and then I went ahead and bypassed them. You know, sometimes I don't want to do certain things, but I just end up doing it. I ended up running to the hardware store. Home Depot was around the corner, got some more braided fittings, got the little connector that I needed, and it wasn't too difficult. I was able to get them operational. So the logic behind that was that, you know, I had gone out there, and they told me they didn't have any ice, right, the night before. They put in a work order. They said, come out tomorrow morning, we have no ice, something's wrong. But then I get there, and both the machines are just a little under 3/4 full, okay? And they're both at the exact same level. To me, yeah, they either ran out of ice and they're both making the perfect amount of ice, or the machines might have just got turned on, or what I found was that the water filters were plugged up. So the water filters were plugged up, and it was still letting water through, but it'd be letting it very slow. So on a Hoshizaki ice machine, if it takes a long time to fill up, it's not going to go off on a safety, okay? So that initial fill cycle, it's going to keep filling until the water float satisfies, then it's going to turn on. It's not going to go off on a safety. Now, if it gets low enough during harvest, they bring in fresh water. And if that fresh water isn't there, it doesn't have enough water in the sump, then in theory it could freeze up, okay? But I don't think we just got to that point yet. I still don't understand the GPM calculation on those water filters, but all that I know is that they were restricted, right? The other thing was, I was looking at the date on the filter, and it says 12 December of 2024, basically, okay? And for whatever reason, I was thinking that was a year ago. No, that was 5 months ago. So those filters were installed in December, and they were plugged up 5 months later. Yeah, that they typically don't get plugged up that fast, okay? 6 months to a year is when you should change filters, but it's not very often that I actually see a filter plug up in 6 months. Usually you see it within a year. Went ahead and use my judgment and past experience. Right when I saw that filter, I was like, something ain't right. That's not, those filters are junk, right? I had nothing but problems with those at another particular restaurant chain that I don't service anymore, and they were constantly having freeze up issues on their ice machines. And whenever I would bypass the filters, problems would be solved, you know. And for whatever reason, certain chain restaurants, they want to use those filters, but at this particular one, I told the facility manager, dude, get those things out of there. Let me put in the right filter system. Now, when I say right filter system, understand something. A water filter system is not a one-size-fits-all, okay? They really should be sized for every single location, looking at all the stuff that's in the water, because you could go 10 miles away and they might have different stuff in their water, okay? But the Hoshizaki ones are the right flow. They do what this customer wants. They work the way they should be. If they really, really wanted to solve like a taste problem or something like that, then maybe we'd put a pre-filter on there or a post-filter or something. But for this particular situation, the Hoshizaki filters are the best bet for this particular water quality. Does good, customers happy, and really reduces the amount of buildup that builds inside the machine. Usually we'll have slime buildup, but we don't really have calcium buildup. So those are things. Now, this particular machine does need to be cleaned, but it wasn't full of calcium or anything. It was just had some slime buildup. So that's not anything we took care of at this time. We went ahead and got the authorization, came back out, and you saw we ran into some hiccups when we were installing the filters. Lots of water leaks. That's pretty common. I really don't like mechanical fittings on water lines, but on water filter systems, they have them, so it is what it is. I would have loved to have redone all that piping and gotten rid of that and made it look even nicer, but the customer wanted it to be as low budget as possible, so I reused everything I could. Yeah, it doesn't meet my standards for how it looks, but it's functional. Yeah, and I mean, it's not being seen by anybody but the kitchen staff. So yeah, it doesn't look pretty, but kind of like I said later in the close, towards the end of the video, just because it doesn't make my OCD happy doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to make it work better. Okay. So sometimes, I have to be able to rein in on my OCD and say, okay, we got to stop because the customer doesn't want to pay for this kind of stuff. So we went ahead and used the braided line on the outlet side of the filter, capped that top piece, got it all taken care of. Had some water leaks, but then once I put the Nylog white on there with the Teflon tape, problems were all solved. That Nylog white really is awesome. Took care of that. Then we went up onto the roof, changed the condenser fan motors. It's kind of funny because at first I couldn't find that other one. I couldn't remember and I didn't have the footage. But then the second time we turned the systems back on, we could hear the squeaking. So it was the right side motor after all. Went ahead and took care of that. So both condenser fan motors are changed. Now, logic would tell you that if those two condenser fan motors failed, these ice machines are the same age, the other two are going to start going out too. But the customer, some customers don't really want to be that proactive. They're like, well, if we can get another month or two out of it, they'd rather do that. So that's fine. We'll go ahead and probably go ahead and order 2 more motors and have them in stock because the other ones are going to fail sooner than later. But yeah, customers happy. And hopefully that logic that I was bringing up in the beginning makes sense. I didn't see the need to put service gauges on the units. I didn't see the need to really go in depth into the operation because that first day that I came out on the Sunday, they were all, just under 3/4 of the way full. And supposedly the night before they were completely out, which would make sense. They were literally the same level and they weren't off on a safety. So Hoshizakis have long freeze, long harvest safeties. A couple other safeties in there too, but it would have been a long freeze or a long harvest safety if there was a real mechanical problem with that machine. So I didn't see the need to go any deeper than that. And my logic was correct because in between when I bypassed it and when we came out is about a week and a half, 2 weeks. And so they haven't had any more problems with the systems bypassed. Everything's been working fine. They've been able to keep up with demand. So sometimes, I might make a decision like that when I'm coming into these calls and just make a logical decision. I don't need to go super in depth on this one because, these steps past, if that makes sense, my brain I know works differently. So sometimes I come to conclusions and it may or may not make sense. So I'm curious, does that logic make sense to you guys? Let me know in the comments. Let me know, do you do that kind of stuff where you decide that, hey, I'm not going to go down these 10 steps because there's no need to if the machine hasn't done this. I will do that oftentimes on certain machines, But yeah, all was well. The apprentice got to get his hands dirty, getting some stuff, wired in and things like that. So that's perfect. He got to help me up there with the water filters, get back in that tight little space. We have 2 1,600-pound machines. There was about 10 inches between them. So it was a bigger bin. So we were able to walk in between. The bin's nice and sturdy. So we were able to walk in between and then get behind. And we were kind of standing up on top of the bin doing all that work. So that was very nice. It's nice when the machines aren't butt together because if they were butted together, it would have been just that much more difficult, but we would have gotten it done. So, hey, I really appreciate you making it to the end of the video. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. Definitely helps me out. Leave me some feedback down in the YouTube comments. Shoot me an email if you want to over at hvacrvideos@gmail.com. If you haven't already, check out my website, hvacrvideos.com, where you can get hats such as this one right here. This is a, I put a lot of effort into this hat. Got one right here because this is my work hat right here. So put a lot of effort into these. These hats last me quite a while. I can usually wash them 2 to 3 times before they get completely worn out. Sometimes more than that, just depends. But what I really like about this hat, I put a lot of effort into it, is it's a breathable material. It's kind of hard for you guys to see, but I can see light through this hat. Okay, I can put it up to here and I can see light, but it's not a trucker hat. It's not mesh. It is a mesh. It's just a really fine mesh inside. Okay, then black underbill, really important to me. Okay, can you see my OCD took over when I was designing these hats? I made these hats what I would want, not what anybody else would want. But I took some other people's opinions into consideration. One thing I did was black underbill, because I hate coming home from work, jumping in the truck, and the hat's all nasty on the bottom side when they're white, right? So you can, wear this hat after work. The other thing, the really important thing, is the HVACR acronym. The HVACR acronym doesn't have my logo on it, okay? Just has an HVACR acronym. The whole idea behind that is so that way you can wear it to work and potentially not violate your uniform policy, because you're not advertising my brand, right? You're advertising my color scheme and my brand with the acronym right there, but that acronym is, most people, like, I have several companies that have ordered hats for all their employees because, yeah, they can still wear their normal uniform. It says HVACR because they're HVACR service technicians, and people love these hats. So, I put a lot of effort into these. Now, I also have flat bill. Now, I will say that the flat bill and the dad hats are not this same breathable material, okay? This is an active hat. It's a flex fit in the back. We have large and small, but if you get a flat bill or a dad hat, they're just going to be normal hat designs. They still have black underbill, but they don't have the breathable mesh in the top, okay? So keep that in mind, but you can find these over at hvacrvideos.com. Great way to help support the channel. Couple other ways to help support the channel. The easiest way is just watch the videos from beginning to end. That really is the easiest way. You can support the channel via PayPal, Patreon, YouTube channel memberships. There's links in the show notes of this video. Last but not least, if you want to purchase any tools, go over to TrueTechTools.com. I have an affiliate program set up with them. If you use my affiliate code BIGPICTURE, one word, at checkout, you get a nice discount on majority of the items. I get a small commission from that. Great way to help support the channel. I get a lot of my tools from TrueTech. Great people over there. They have great quality, great selection, great customer service. Just overall, they got a rewards program, whatever. This sounds like a paid advertisement. It's not really. I mean, I guess in a way, because I have the affiliate program. But, with any of my people that I've worked with, right now I'm currently working with, I do piecework with Heatcraft Refrigeration. Every once in a while I'll do a video for them, but there's no contract or anything like that. I have a channel sponsorship from Sporlin. Channel sponsorship from Refrigeration Technologies, and then we have affiliate program with TrueTech Tools. I'm actually really picky about who I am willing to work with, and if you look, all the manufacturers that I work with are people that I've worked with, or I've always appreciated their products. I am not, and to each their own, but I am not just going to promote someone's product because they want to throw some money at me. Not my style, not my cup of tea, okay? You want me to push some leak sealer? I don't believe in them, so I ain't going to push that crap, okay? If you like to use it, good on you. But I'm not going to push that stuff. I'm not going to be pushing any weird dyes, any weird crap that I think is stupid. I'm not going to use it, okay? I'm not going to promote it. I'm not interested in the money. Now, of course, I need, I want more money. Of course I do, but my own problems, my own insecurities, my own insanity, my OCD, whatever you want to call it, gets in the way of me being able to blindly promote some junk crap, okay? Hence why you don't see me promoting TikTok Shop. That's all shit. It's all bullshit, dude. There's nothing good that comes from TikTok Shop except for just crap. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know. Did you find something amazing from TikTok Shop? But I don't even consider that crap. So I'm not doing that. It's just not my style, okay? I don't want to promote BS. If I am going to promote something, it's something that I believe in. It's something that I work with. So that's why I'm willing to work with Refrigeration Technologies, Heatcraft Refrigeration, Sporlin, True Tech Tools. You know, I have worked with Field Piece in the past. I'm not doing any work with them right now, but I like their products, you know? So I'm only going to work with the people that I want to work with. I'm not working with people just because they're throwing money at me, okay? There's a lot of other creators out there that'll promote anything that comes on their doorstep. You know, that's not me. So, you know, it is what it is. I went off on a nice little rant right now. Thank you so very much. Check out my website, hvacrvideos.com. Help support the channel. It would be much appreciated. Hopefully, we will catch you on the next one, okay?